This is an example of what the milestones assessment scoring form looks like. And you could see here, these are the verbal operants that are broken down. And there are also skills in here that are assessed, like play skills, social skills, there's reading, math. So that's what the milestones grid looks like. And this is level 1, which are skills that a 0 to 18-month child would have. Level 2 are skills that an 18 to 30-month-old child would have. And level 3 are skills that a 30 to 48-month-old child would have. And why I love this assessment is because it helps put into perspective what skills you should be teaching a child and in what sequence. For example, the first skill that a child or a baby will acquire is the mand. That's the verbal operant, is a mand or a request, asking for something when they want it. You can't teach a child to answer questions about things that aren't present if they're not even able to ask you for the things that they want in their own environment. So it sort of puts that into perspective, and I think that's very helpful for some people when creating programs. Another example would be the intraverbal, which is a verbal operant whereby the speaker is able to talk about things that aren't present. For example, if you were to ask, tell me something that flies, and you wanted them to answer that when there was nothing present in their environment, it would help you break down, okay, if you're asking a learner to tell you something that flies, can they even label a picture of flying when they see it? For example, if they saw a picture of an airplane and you said, what's the airplane doing? Could that child say flying? If they saw a bird and you said, what's that bird doing? Could they say flying? So it sort of helps you break down the analysis of why a child might not be getting a skill and then how you could teach it and what you need to teach first. Or for example, if you asked a child to tell you something that had a trunk and there's no pictures present, do they know the parts of a tree? A tree has a trunk, a tree has branches and leaves, but that a tree has a trunk. Can they label that picture when they see it? Another thing that has a trunk is an elephant. Do they know the parts of an elephant? A car has a trunk. Do they know the parts of a car? So you can't ask a child to tell you something that has a trunk if they can't even label the parts of an item. So it would direct you in the area that you need to go first and what you need to teach in order to get that child to be able to answer that question. Because if you don't do that, then what you're going to have are a lot of rote and memorized responses. I really love this assessment because I think it puts a lot of things into perspective, and also in working with other professionals or parents, it helps them see the sequence of how we choose things and why we choose things. No skill or target is chosen arbitrarily. There's a meaning and a reason as to why we choose what we're teaching a learner. And it also just helps you understand if a learner is not understanding content or curricula, well, it also has helped me break down and realize where are the deficits in their language and that they're not understanding that curricula. For example, if you ask a learner to touch the first word, because that's where you're all going to begin reading, do they know what touch means? And do they know what first means? And if not, or what a word is, and if not, then you have to go back and teach those skills. You need to teach prepositions. You need to teach listener responding skills about what it means to touch something or point to something. Those are just some examples of why I really love this assessment. I'm happy to answer any questions further.